But
To another episode of the My Pocket Preceptor podcast. Today we have a wonderful guest. Her name is Amanda, and she's going to share all her lovely gems with us. So this is episode 4. Go ahead and check out the previous episodes if you haven't done so. Like, follow, and subscribe. But without any further ado, we're going to get into today's show. Hi, Amanda.
hi,
How are you
thank you for
today?
having me. I'm good. How are you?
I am well. Thank you for choosing to come on and share your experience and your knowledge being a new to practice nurse. Well, actually, you're a seasoned nurse now, right? We'll get into a little bit more about that.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to think about, but I'm excited. I'm so excited to share these crazy stories that I'm sure we all have.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into nursing, what kind of attracted you to the profession.
Yeah, so I actually I moved here from Brazil when I was about 15.
You're Brazilian?
Yeah.
I had no clue. I love
Wait,
Brazil.
really?
No, I didn't.
Oh yeah. I moved here. I was born and raised there. Like everyone's from there. But my mom's parents live here. They moved here like years and years ago, and then we ended up my parents got divorced, and then we moved here when I was almost 15. But I went to Penn State for undergrad.
Nice.
And I actually I majored in psychology with a concentration in neuroscience, which kind of worked out because, I work on the neuro floor now.
That is so cool.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy how it worked out. But then I went for my accelerated nursing degree at Villanova. And that was 14 months. Very intense 14 months. It was rough.
But you did it.
But I did it. And now I started at Penn on the neuro floor on November 1st of 2021.
Nice.
So it's crazy to think about how long it's been and how fast time goes. Because I still consider myself a new to practice nurse.
That's okay.
I feel like there's still so much to learn.
There's always so much to learn, and that's a great attitude to have. Sometimes I experience it where some people come into the profession and they think they know everything, and we're like, no, don't have that, don't have that kind of perspective.
Right, and I think you probably find out really quick that that's not the case.
That's not the case. Yeah, that's awesome. So I'm Jamaican.
My dream, if I could pick one place to go visit, I say this all the time. If I had all the money in the world, the first place I would go is Jamaica.
Oh my gosh, you have to go, Amanda.
I want to. I'll make my way there at some point.
Yes, I can tell you which hotels to go to. We can set a plan.
Perfect.
We'll just pick up some bonus shifts and then and then
there's
we book
plenty
your trip.
Of those. Yeah,
there's plenty of those. Good. And then I'm always shouting out my friends. I have a friend. She has a business in a travel agency. She works on our floor too. Mariko.
Okay.
She has a side business as an entrepreneur where she does like booking your travel, so she can find you like a great.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Hotel. She travels I love this about her and her husband and their family. They literally travel like twice a month. It's beautiful. I think her son is amazing. Their baby son, I think he's gonna be like 6 or something. And she asked him, what does he want to do? He was like, I want to go to like Bermuda or something like that.
That's so fun. I love traveling. I wish I could. Yeah, I wish I could. And I feel like with our schedule, with like the 312s, like it's, and like the scheduling, like making your schedule, you can, like with nursing, there's so much like free time. If you want to, you can have the free time.
Yeah.
And that's awesome.
Awesome. So I will talk to you off camera about where to go in Jamaica. It's beautiful. And I want to go to Brazil too to see Christ the Redeemer.
Oh yes. Oh my God. I love it. It's so fun. If you need any recommendations, let me know.
I absolutely will need recommendations. So I will reach out to you for that. But it's so beautiful to see, especially being like first generation. I'm first generation, like a college grad and having like a master's degree and stuff like that. But it's great to see you can come into this profession and create a good life for yourself. Would you recommend it? How do you see the flexibility that nursing has to offer, especially, if it's something that you feel like you can be strategic in earning a good income?
Yeah, I feel like nursing in general, like a lot of times it can, like, it's, you know, when you hear you work 3/12s, like you only work 3 times a week, I feel like a lot of people are attracted to that. But I also feel like there's a ton about nursing that unless you are in the profession, you don't know, or you don't know until you start. But it's such a rewarding job. Like, so far, it's been such a rewarding job. It is a very, in my opinion, very difficult job. Obviously, especially depending on the floor that you work on, and if you're doing bedside. And me, for example, I'm strictly nights.
Yeah.
So I also deal with the you know, the sleep deprivation, and your schedule is completely flipped from your average person. And then it also feels like you're working 6 days instead of 3, because you're
Yeah.
losing, you know, the day before and the day after. But I love nursing. I think there's something so special about helping people, like, when they're at their most vulnerable. And I actually, when I was in undergrad, I thought I wanted to go to PA school.
You can still do that.
I know, yeah.
You
Yeah,
can.
my plan was to go to PA school, and then I actually ended up taking a semester off because I had some personal stuff going on. And to be very honest with you, nursing never crossed my mind. And I think part of that is because, and I hate to admit this, but it's true. Nursing in Brazil, where I grew up, and it's very different than nursing here.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know if it's like that in Jamaica too, but it's not nearly as, like, a noble profession. You don't make nearly as much as you do here. You're not seeing. It's like, unless you're a doctor, then there's, like, nothing else kind of matters.
Right.
They don't even have the profession, like the physician assistant profession in Brazil. Like, that doesn't even exist yet. But so nursing actually, like, never really crossed my mind. That's why I was set on going to PA school, and then some stuff happened, and I looked into nursing, and I also kind of went into nursing thinking I'll work as a nurse for a year or two, and then I'll go to PA school, or then I'll go to NP school. Yeah. And I'll become a nurse practitioner.
Right.
But ever since I started nursing, I feel like my mind kind of changed. I don't even know, like, at what point I started to kind of change my own mind. But I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. I think the financial situation is a big thing. Like, going back to school,
getting all these loans,
right? And you know, I did the accelerated nursing program, so I have, like, my loans from undergrad, and then so it's a lot to think about. But bedside nursing, I feel like, has so many ups and downs, especially on a neurology floor. But at the end of the day, I think, like, what you do and the way you can help these people, and, like, you can really make a difference on, like, you know, like, their journey of getting better and whatever it is that they're going through, is so rewarding, and it makes such a difference. And for me, it makes me feel relevant. It makes me feel like I'm doing something. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know, you know, like, but
no, that's great. You're, like, you know, a contributing member in society, and you're actually doing great, and you're doing work that is affecting people in a good way. So that's commendable.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. And thank you for your honesty. You know, a lot of people may say, like, I always wanted to be a nurse ever since I was, like, you know, like the Barbie story, like, I always wanted to do this and that. And it's like, that's not the case with everyone. And that's okay. And come to think of it, like, healthcare is the number one kind of, like, funded business in the United States. If you look at, like, based on the capitalism and based on where a lot of the money is associated, it's usually in, like, security, like government, defense is, like, number one, and then healthcare is, like, number two. So people have to start to be really strategic in how they're looking at healthcare and the profession. And being altruistic is great. Obviously, you want to do it from the goodness of your heart. We don't want anyone who doesn't want to be there, but it doesn't mean you have to be there forever. You can use it as a foundation, as a stepping stone. And as you said, you would like to be a physician's assistant. I would say still go after it, still create a plan on how that can happen.
Yeah, that's a good thing, I think, with nursing, is there's so many avenues you can take. There's so many different things, which sometimes that can be so overwhelming.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's good to have those options. And like I said, I think bedside nursing can be very difficult, can be like a very demanding job in good ways and also in bad ways. And I think one of the things that I remember I was struggling with when I was getting out of nursing school and like applying for jobs is, nursing school tends to tell you have to start with med surg, you have to start bedside, which no, you don't. No, you
Correct.
don't. Like you can, but I feel like there's also like a huge pressure on new to practice nurses, like new grads, that if you don't, like, at least for me, like even now thinking about switching jobs, I feel like if I do something that's not bedside, that I'm not putting in IVs, I'm not placing Foley's, I'm not doing like, like these things that, or if instead I choose to do like a work at like an office, like an allergy office where I'm like from 9 to 5 and I'm like really not doing a lot of hands-on things. It's more like calling back and triaging patients and things like that. Like there's part of me that like, will that make me less of a nurse than people that are working bedside, than people that are like calling doctors when they have to, when someone's,
right.
So I feel like new to practice nurses definitely feel a little bit of that pressure.
Right.
And every time I talk to someone who's like still in nursing school or getting, applying to jobs, I always have to like try to get that across, that like you don't, like there's no like step-by-step thing that you have to do with nursing. I think that's what like is so amazing about the profession, is you can kind of do whatever you want. You can kind of, there's so many, if you want, you can work from home and never touch a patient. Like,
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I agree. And if I can offer some encouragement, is to go for whatever it is that you want. I've been a nurse for 16 years and most of it has been direct patient care, like on our floor, and also working as a nurse practitioner in the like urgent care clinics. They have been direct patient care. But even transitioning now, thinking about what else is there, I think the general kind of trajectory that is expected is that bedside, and then you go back and get your NP, which I did, and then you get your DNP, and then you go into education, right? That's kind of like the trajectory that is set up for us. But I'm learning to be like a disruptor in the sense of like a good disruptor. Like it has to work for me primarily and my family, right?
Yeah.
And so just to encourage you, go for whatever it is. You still have registered nurse at the end of your name, okay?
Yeah.
You're still licensed by the state in which you live in, can practice in multiple states. Don't let people box you in. People love to box you in, and people love to box women in.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a female-dominated profession. And I just encourage you. You are amazing. You are a great nurse. You have such good character, and I love your energy. And girl, do you?
Thank you. I know. It's like, it's so hard. I like, sometimes I'm like, I wish somebody could just tell me what to do. Someone,
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like at some point you just have to like think of what's best for you and what works better with your life, and just go for it. Like it's, at the end of the day, I feel like it'll be okay.
It'll all be
and
okay.
You can always go back to bedside. You can always, like, that's, again, like, I feel like that's what's so cool about nursing. So there's just so many, there's like a million different things you can do.
Right. And you can keep a PRN as well, like what I have. And then you can, if you still want some affiliation to the hospital. But again, I think it's just we've just been conditioned to have a limited belief regarding what we can do as nurses. And, it's constrained around being at the bedside, doing all this stuff, working with a doctor or getting orders from a doctor, where, as you're saying, you can work in an aesthetic clinic, you can work in a dermatology office, you can open your own business, you can have a hydration business. Like there's so many things that you can do. And one of the things I wrote in my book, which you'll get a copy of my book, my ebook for free, because everyone who comes on here gets a copy of my ebook. And for the month of September, I'm also doing it where if someone gets my ebook, I'll do like a consultation, but I'll always talk to you. So like, whatever you need.
Oh my God, that's so exciting. Thank you so much. Oh my God, I didn't realize I was going to get a little present today.
Yes. Whatever you need, I'll talk with you through the process. But just encouraging you, like, you're in the time right now where like you're in your 20s. So I encourage you to be strategic, build up your finances. That's the number one thing. Like stack that money, girl. I don't care if you have a husband next to you, stack your money, okay?
That is a huge thing that I've been struggling with. And I'll give you a little example. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a car. I've never had a car. And I live in Wayne, so it takes me about almost an hour to get to work and back every
Mm-hmm.
time. And I kind of have to arrange with my boyfriend, like, can I take your car? It's in its
Yeah.
time. I have to do it. And I finally
Mm-hmm.
have a big boy job where I'm making, good money.
Right.
But um, the I have been so incredibly hesitant and nervous and scared. Like, my dad still lives in Brazil, and obviously the currency is very, very different.
Mm-hmm.
My mom doesn't make a lot of money, like I don't
No,
have
I
like,
totally understand being from being like having parents who live abroad, like for so many years I would have to like send money back until my mom actually moved here. Like it's a whole thing. And all the
yeah,
people who are like, whether you're from, different countries, it's the same. You know what I mean? You
yeah,
send
yeah.
back
And
money to
like,
your family.
yeah. So look, my point is like, I like don't have like mom and dad to kind of like just, so,
Yeah.
but with like the financial part of nursing, like nurses, especially Penn, like you get paid
Yeah.
well. I
Yes.
will say I think we deserve a little more, but
That's
it is good
right.
money. It's,
Right. Right.
um, but I like have such a fear of like, can I afford this? Like, the good thing I think with our floor is obviously we're very short staffed, so we give out a lot of bonus.
Right.
Um, but I feel like going from like not having a job, not making money at all, and like having all these loans and things to all of
Yeah.
a sudden being put in a position where you make all this money and you
Right.
can make even more if you just want to, if you feel like working a little more, if there's something that you want to buy, or if you feel like you're getting married, or if you want a car, you
Right.
can even make more, which is like most jobs don't have that. Like
Right.
you get your salary, and
And
that's
that's
it. If you
it.
do any extra work, that's, you're not going to get paid any more than that.
Right.
But I feel like I almost wish that like this was kind of a topic in nursing school that
Mm-hmm.
nursing school would cover, like how to deal with your finances, like,
Yeah.
because I feel like it's such a big part of nursing
Absolutely.
and just in, life in general. But I also feel like with nursing, like there's a lot of people that are like you start so young.
Yeah.
Like we have people, I think we have nurses on our floor that are like that just turned 21, or like
Yeah.
22. I'm
Right.
like, wow, if I was making this money when I was that young, like I don't even know if I would know what to do with, like I feel like it's easy to end up making the wrong choices, or not having the guidance there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like for me, it's something that's like is super stressful. So I am excited I'm looking forward to talking to you about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. And in the book it goes over like different like structures, and you can check this out yourself. Like a Roth IRA, it's the one thing that I will like sing from the mountaintops. And again, like the job gives us a benefits package, but they just give you a booklet at the end of like halfway through orientation at 3 p.m. when you just come back from lunch, you're super tired, you want to go home. They're like, yeah, here's your benefits package. Read
Yeah,
over it. You're like,
yeah.
okay, sure.
And I'm like, I have no idea what I'm looking
No
at.
idea.
Where do I sign? I hope you guys aren't like,
Right, dwindling me out of my life savings.
Yeah, yeah.
So a Roth IRA is what I definitely recommend. It's in the book, but I will go over with that. I think I'm actually planning like a master class to just show
Okay.
people like how you sign up with it. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, so it's just what has worked for me and what the research that I've done suggests, and I can always give you guys like the information, like just like an index fund. An index
Yeah.
fund is like basically a group of stocks that are bundled together in like a basket, and it tracks the S&P 500, which is the top 500 companies on the stock market. So
Okay.
research has shown if you go ahead and you just buy like an index fund, it'll go up and down and up and down, but on average you'll make about 8 to 10% on your money per year, like your
Okay.
money
Oh my
grows.
gosh.
And
Yeah, like I don't
with
know
the
any
Roth
of this.
IRA, I didn't either. And it's so life transforming, Amanda. Like, this is the crazy stuff. I'm going to show you guys in that masterclass. Like, literally, if you start at say like the age of like 20, say you go from age 22, right? And you could start. You can invest in a Roth IRA as long as you're earning money. So even if you're 16 years old working at McDonald's, you can open your parents can open like a custodial one for you until you're 18. But say you're 18 and you're working at McDonald's, you can open it. And the most you can put in it.
That's so interesting. And
girl, it's a whole rabbit hole. But really quickly, if you invest, like, the max is $6,500 per year, and the government, they limit it because they know the power of it. And the power of it is it's tax-free money. So long and short, you put $6,500 in, say between the ages of like 22 to 30. So that's 8 years, right? And there's a calculator online that goes over all of this. And for anyone who's listening, if this sounds foreign to you, it's because people want it to sound foreign to you. You're not going to be familiar with it until you're actually like learning about it. I
feel like there's a lot they don't want us to know about.
So if you put $6,500 in every year for 8 years, which is the max is $6,500, that comes to about $5,200, $52,000, excuse me.
Oh my God!
This is the power of it, Amanda. Research shows if between the ages of 22 and 30, you only put $52,000 in there. You leave that, but you're investing the money in an index fund, right? Like, you have to invest that money into stocks. And those stocks are what we talked about, the index funds. You actually have to take the next step and invest that money in stocks, right? Girl, if you leave that money in there, so from age 30 till you retire at age 65, guess how much that $52,000 turns into?
Oh God, I don't even want to know.
$1 million, like $1.3 million. You literally can retire as a millionaire.
Oh God.
They're not telling us this stuff.
No, they don't want us to know.
They don't want us to know.
Thank God for you and for people like you that sit there and do the research, because, wow. Oh my God.
These are just simple stuff that's why I really want to like get the new people. Like, you can put $6,500. That's like 8 extra shifts a year. Who can't pick up 8 extra shifts a year on our floor? Think
my gosh. Yeah.
I will talk about this for forever and a day, but it's such a powerful tool. But I will talk to you about it, work with you on it, like give you all the gems that I know. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Okay, so you've been a nurse for about 2 years now. You're working on the floor. Did you have any, like, what are some of the challenges you feel like you had to overcome? Was it like, did you experience any bullying, or did you experience it where you found it difficult to talk to patients? Was it a confidence thing? Did you feel like challenges in the skills that you needed to attain, for example?
Check, all of those and more, and then some more.
Tell us all.
If you talk to, I think anybody on my floor that were there when I started, or that started with me, I had a really, really, really hard time in the beginning. I struggled with literally everything and anything you can, like, from confidence to skills, like, and everything in between. Like I said, I didn't plan on doing nursing. I didn't really know what I was getting into. I wasn't, like, none of my close friends were nurses or are nurses. Like, my mom's under, no one around me. So I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. And I also, I just in general, I think I'm like the type of person that I am is I struggle with, like, confidence a little bit with, like, pretty much everything, but, like, with nursing, I think I was like, well, I'm gonna have patients' lives I'm gonna be literally, like, keeping this person alive for the 12 hours that I'm there. And I have no idea how to do it, and then I'm scared to tell people that I'm scared. And with also another thing that I think didn't help my situation, and I think this has to do with my floor specifically, is I had a specific preceptor that was assigned to me when I started, but almost every shift I had somebody different, and it was mostly because of scheduling conflict. And that really threw me off. And was starting to get a little bit comfortable with my main preceptor, and then I was put with someone else who had no idea where I was, had no idea how much I knew, had no idea how much I was comfortable with,
Right.
but expected me to be a certain way. And
Right.
that really hurt me. That really hurt me. And also it was, I think I had, I didn't really struggle with bullying, but I feel like it just, you kind of take things personally. Just, it's hard not to, even when
Right.
like what we say, like patients like call you names and like treat you really bad, like don't take it personal. It's not at you.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard not
Right.
to, it's hard to walk away and be like, yeah, no, that didn't bother me at all. You
Right.
know? But I think the whole preceptor thing was a huge thing for me because I don't think it was my fault, and I don't think it was the
No.
preceptor's fault. I
Right.
think, like I can't blame them for thinking that I was super comfortable with putting an IV because they don't know. You know what I mean? They also like, and another thing is a lot of times I think like anybody can be a preceptor. Like I could be a preceptor. I didn't go to school for teaching. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't really know how to teach someone. I can tell you I can show you how I do things,
Right.
and a lot of times I feel like people like management can like kind of put people in as preceptors when maybe didn't want to do that. So then,
Right.
I feel like you have to like also want to teach, and you have to
Right.
like you have to be patient. You have to, but for
You
me,
have to
the
know how to give
inconsistent,
critical, they need to
yeah,
also know how to give constructive criticism, and they also need to assess like how you take feedback. Do you want it, some people want it like direct, just to give it to me straight. Some people like for you to cushion it a little bit before you give
yeah.
them the tough talk.
Yeah, especially with nursing, I think like I feel like if you're at like a desk job where like, you were just sitting in front of a computer all day, it's a little bit different than when you're, you know, like giving
Hmm.
a patient a medication that if you give a little too much, something really bad might happen.
Right.
Um, but it's again, like I think a lot of that comes from like management and like having like, like a consistent schedule, consistent preceptor. I think that really like at one point during my orientation, and it was a lot of like crying on my way
Hmm.
there, taking breaks in the bathroom, crying on the
Hmm.
way home.
Hmm.
Um,
Sorry that was
and
so rough for you.
yeah, it was, but it's crazy for me to think about that and to see where I am now. Um, but at one point during my orientation, I went home and I wrote my manager an email saying
Hmm.
like thanking her for the opportunity and taking the time to interview me and this and that. But I literally wrote in the email, nursing isn't for me. Like I don't, it's not for me. I thought it was, I gave it a try. And I
Hmm.
remember I went to talk to my mom and sit and tell her that I was sending this email, and I like, sat down with her and my brother, and they stopped me from doing it, which is I'm
Hmm.
so glad that they stopped me from doing it. But I was so like it was that bad in the
Yeah.
beginning that I was just like I would look at the nurses on our floor and I would just like literally stare at them like how 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 do you do this?
Hmm.
Like how do you get through the 12 hours here?
Right.
But it's like I think for me what helped the most is just it's the repetition, the
Hmm.
being there, the forcing yourself to be comfortable, forcing yourself to step out of your comfort zone.
Hmm.
And like you did the hard part. You got through nursing school, you passed the
Yeah.
NCLEX, you did the hard part.
Right.
This
Right.
is just this is just knowing how to talk to people and knowing how to interact with people. That's like obviously
Right.
there's a lot to nursing that requires like you have to know and you have to like, but I feel like so much of nursing is like just really like knowing how to talk to people and be compassionate
Hmm.
but I'm glad that I didn't send that email. I'm glad that
Hmm.
I, gave myself the chance, and like looking back
Yeah.
now, it's like it's so hard for me to it's like amazing for me that like I got to where I am today, especially from like everything like I like moving here and like not knowing any
Hmm.
English and
Oh,
learning English,
wow.
and it's like looking
Wow.
back, it's like,
I'm so
and
proud of you, Amanda.
thank you.
I'm very proud of you.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, but I struggled a lot, and I think nursing is a profession that can be very hard in the beginning. Can be hard,
Mm-hmm.
very hard forever, but you get
Yeah.
better. You get better at it, and you get more used to it, and you get comfortable around these like uncomfortable situations.
Right.
But you just have to stick with it,
Stick
and
to
it gets
it.
better. If you're listening to this and you're struggling, it gets better. I promise you.
Wow. That is such a powerful story. And thanks for being so open and transparent and sharing your experience, because it was a tough time for you.
Yeah, and also I think COVID was a big thing too. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't a nurse before COVID, but from like most of the people that I've talked to, they've said like after COVID and like once COVID started, like nursing just kind of changed, and not just nursing, but like the healthcare in general, like it's very different. And I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what it was like before, and I also
Yeah.
don't know what it was like at the peak of COVID because I was in nursing school at the peak of COVID,
Right.
but I know what it's like now, and it's not easy, and like I feel like
Mm-hmm.
we deserve so much credit for it. Like it's again, it's like it can be such a difficult job, and
Right.
we do it, and we thrive, and like we're and I think
Yeah.
it's such an it's an amazing thing, like what we deal with for 12 hours,
Mm-hmm.
or not even just like any type of nursing, the
Right.
things that we see, the like dealing with family, dealing with
Mm-hmm.
death, dealing with things like
Yeah.
that, and then you come home and then you just go on with your life, and it's a crazy job. It's a crazy world. It's like
It really is. And so I think that's a great segue into like how to deal with um like self-care, like when you have such a stressful job. I think I read something too that says nursing is a very stressful position. It's similar to like um people who are on like the front lines who are like in active duty. It's like literally
yeah,
that type of stress and flux in your cortisol that your body is going through, and we take it so haphazardly, or it may seem so it just goes unnoticed and kind of like unrecognized for
yeah,
nurses. And so yeah, that is definitely something that's very real. It's very stressful, and a lot of new to practice nurses even have that stress like the shift be like the day before their shift, you know what I mean? And then you go home and then you're ruminating on the things that happened on your shift, so it's like your
yeah,
brain never gets any time to
yeah. And then you're just
unwind.
thinking about how much time you have until you have to go back,
To
and
go
like
back.
the level of anxiety is like, oh my God. Like for
Yeah.
example, like I don't know if I ever like talked to you about this, but something that happened to me and is still happening is ever since I started nursing and I started strictly nights, I have been like, I break out in hives. I get like angioedema. I like, and it's something that like I am being seen for now, but it started actually at work.
Oh
And
wow.
when I went to, and now I'm getting like allergy injections. It was a whole thing. Like I had to take a bunch of like ER trips, like during the shift where like my place blows up and everything.
Oh
And,
my
and it
goodness.
kind of came down to like, I did all the lab work, everything. And it kind of comes down to like, the doctor kind of described it as it was the perfect storm. It was the level of stress, it was the sleep deprivation, it was the anxiety, like the constant anxiety. And again, I think that these things can all be avoided if they're talked about,
Right.
if like we just to kind of keep it like to if we just keep it real. If
Yeah.
we start from the beginning saying this is a very difficult job, it's an extremely rewarding, but
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna have really hard shifts. You're gonna get talked to like in ways that you never thought anybody would talk to you. Like when you're
And it
when you're
right.
literally trying to help them.
Right.
Um, so, um, but I feel like again, like a lot of this, if it's just if we keep it open, if we keep it transparent,
Right.
just the reality of nursing, it can be avoided. And I think self care is probably one of the most important things with this job, because
Mm-hmm.
it can be so consuming, and it can be so, like I said, overwhelming, and
Yeah.
hard to like, people say like it's leave work at work, and especially with like us, like with bedside nursing, you leave, that's it. There's nothing you can do. You can't go
Listen.
grab you can't go
Yeah.
grab that water that you forgot to grab. You can't go grab the
Right.
blanket.
Yeah.
It's over. Like you're home. There's
That's
nothing you
it.
can do from home.
Right.
But like yet we, especially like new nurses, like it's you just you can't you and like in the I think another thing that was really difficult for me is I would come home and I would be so overwhelmed and so upset and so just like so, like tired. And how do you tell someone that doesn't do nursing that you just had to do chest compressions on someone that didn't make it, or or a patient's family told you to
do
when
whatever.
when you're just there, literally the sole purpose of you being there is to help them.
Right.
It's like, it's very hard to relate if you don't know what if you're not in this profession. So that was something that was really difficult for me too. It's like coming home and like trying to explain why I'm feeling when like it's you unless you go through it, unless you're there, it's really hard to and it's not their fault. It's just like it's hard, and like it's hard to kind of put yourself in that position when you're not, and you will probably never be in that position. Right. But I think there are things that you can do to kind of like minimize that and minimize the stress, and like finding little things that you can do for yourself. And like something that I kind of struggled with is, especially with the night shift schedule, like every minute that I'm off, every second, every hour that I get, I just want to do nothing. I just want to lay in bed and just literally sit in silence and like not leave my apartment. But it's like that wasn't help. That didn't help me either, because I realized that I would spend so much time like thinking about the job and thinking about when I'm going back. So I think something like finding hobbies, like going to the gym, reading a book, literally. And that's something that I kind of had to force myself to do, because I kind of found myself like, sure, I only work 3 nights a week, and somehow I wasn't doing anything. Somehow I wasn't seeing any friends. Somehow I wasn't, I'm like, how do I have all this time off? Which is like one of the biggest things with nursing that everybody talks about. Yet I have no life.
Right, because you're sleeping, right? And for me, like my body, I've been doing night shift for like such a long time, like in total, maybe like 12 years or 10 years or something like that. So I literally, my body doesn't feel motivated to do stuff till like after 5 p.m. going towards 7 p.m. because that's when I associate going to work, getting things done. And then I'll stay up to like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. and then I'm active during that time. And my family's like, you are such a night shifter, they'll make that comment. But it's so interesting. And then the lack of like sunlight, the lack of vitamin D, that's also another thing that they don't tell you about, which gives your body like energy in itself. So many things.
Yeah. No, it's so many things. And for example, like I picked night shift mostly. Like the number one thing for me for being nights only is the differential, like the little bit of extra money that you get. And now I'm used to seeing that amount. And so like even if I do a 1-day shift, I'm like, oh, where's my money? Somebody took my money.
It's called FICA. FICA took your money.
Yeah. But also like, like day shift there's a lot more going on. There's a lot more people on the floor. So it's a little more chaotic.
It's helpful for if you're coming off orientation. I think that's how I got into night shift. You get my preceptor was night shift, but then also it helps better for your time management regarding like getting a routine.
That was the same reason why I did night shift too. I remember Sarah Navarro, but when she was still there, she asked for the schedule. She was like, so you're coming off of orientation, do you want me to put you on days or nights? And I was like, nights. I would rather go plane traffic than work a day shift. And
me
I just
too,
kind of
girl,
like,
me too.
It's just, and like with day shift, I would get there and I didn't even know why I was giving some of the medications I was giving. I just knew I had to do it, and I knew that it needed to be a little check, on Epic.
Right.
And
you wanted the green box and not the red box. So once the red box comes up, then the big boys are like, well, why did you give this late? And they're like, okay.
Yeah. And so I felt like I had more time to learn. I had more time to like look the patients up. I had more time to understand why they were there. And then I kind of just got used to the paycheck.
Yeah, let's keep it real. I think I'm gonna name this episode "Keeping It Real."
Keeping it real. Yeah. And
true.
but it's like you have to remember that, like, if you are not well, you are not going to be able to, like, if you can't take care of yourself and you're not well, you're not going to be able to take care of other people. It's going to show
Absolutely.
any way or another, whether it's you're grumpy at work, you're grumpy outside of
Mm-hmm.
work, or you're like doing the bare minimum at work, or you're not saying everything in report because you just don't really care because you're tired. And like, I feel
Yeah.
like it really shows. And I think, like, it's so important to take time off, to use your
Mm-hmm.
vacation day. And I know people say, like, call out and you have to. And it's true. Call out and you have to. We get them for a
Yeah.
reason. We
Right.
only work 3 days a week for a reason. Like, it's
Right.
not for nothing. It's like,
That's a great
um,
point. That's a great
yeah,
point. Because if we could work 4, they would really make us make 4. We,
yeah, yeah. And like,
there's a
there's a reason why
reason.
you can't go up, like, you can't do more than like 4, 5 shifts. Like, it's not like it can
Yeah.
be a lot, but
Mm-hmm.
you have to kind of, like, also, like, remember why you started. I feel
Right.
like it's so easy to get lost and, like, again, I'm gonna keep it real. Like, I don't care about this patient. I don't care. I'm gonna go. Like, it's if like, when you're
When
getting, like,
you're
a really
burnt
hard
out,
patient, right?
yeah.
And when you're burnt out and, like, you feel like the things that you're doing by management are not being appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I feel like there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of that too.
Yeah.
The feeling of, like, guilt when you do call out, even if you're sick and you
Mm.
have a reason to call out, picking up that phone and
Yeah.
apologizing, like.
Yep.
And I remember one time I had to. This was very early on. I had to call out, and I thought the world was gonna end.
Yeah.
And I was so sick, and I,
Mm.
like, and I had to call out,
Yeah.
and I felt so sick. And I remember the charge nurse answered the phone, and she said, and, like, because I apologized, she was like, "Listen, it's not your job to staff the unit. It's
That's a
not your
good.
job to staff the unit. Remember that, because I feel like a
That
lot of
was
times we feel,
very empathetic of her to say that, him or her to
yeah,
say that to you. That was
yeah,
very commendable. That's
yeah.
good.
But you have to take care of yourself, and you have to, like, do things for yourself, because it's very easy
Mm-hmm.
to get lost and, like, get burnt out. And which is, I think, it's so crazy, because, like, you see now even new to practice nurses are getting burnt out, like, very quickly.
Very
And that kind of
quickly.
goes to show, it's like, you're like, you think, like, oh, like, nursing burnout, oh, these nurses have probably been doing this for years. And
Right.
it's like, no, I've been doing this for less than a year, and I feel like I can't do it anymore.
Right. Right.
But again, it's like, there are so many ways that you can avoid that. There's so many ways. I just don't think we know. I don't think that, like, we know how to do it. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
a lot, like, most people, not everybody.
No, for
I know I
sure.
didn't. I
It
know I
took me a
didn't.
long time. It took me a very long time to figure it out, and that's why this platform, like, if people don't associate it with anything else, I just want us to be knowledgeable of how to manage our money, right, and how to take care of our own selves, like how to love yourself primarily, how to take care of yourself. Like, self-care and financial literacy are the cornerstones of what I want this, like, podcast and for people to be associating my brand with, because we are so valuable, but we have to pour into ourselves. And so some quick tips that in addition to what you've given, like hobbies and those kinds of things, is definitely like how you talk to yourself, right? Like, affirming yourself. That is one of the major things that I'm doing now. And even going into new environments, like new jobs and things like that, saying simple things like, I am enough, like repeating that to yourself, like, I am enough. And take out words out of your vocabulary that are not affirming. And if you're not aware of it, then, maybe this is just a time for people to become more aware. But I do not say things like, I am stupid. I don't tell myself that, because your brain does not know the difference with you meaning it or not meaning it. Like, it doesn't
Yeah.
understand. It just says, oh, okay, you're stupid. Right.
Yeah.
So try not to say those things to yourself. Affirm yourself, like, I am enough, or I can do this. I got
Hmm.
this. I'm going to have a great shift. Like, just affirming yourself. And if I come against something that I don't know how to do, I ask myself, like, how can I do this? Like, there's a book that I've read, I think it's called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And it's one of the books that really changed my philosophy on money and how money works and things like that. But it teaches you, like, your brain understands, it has like certain commands that opens it up, right? And if you say something like, I can't do this, then it's like, okay, you said you can't do it. But if you say, how can I do this, then it gives you like options, like, okay, for example, how can I get a car without getting how can I get a new car without it costing me a lot of money, right? Instead of saying, oh, I can't afford a car. Can't afford a car. How can I get a car without it costing me a lot of money? Ask your brain that. Then you say, okay, maybe you can buy a used car, but make sure it's one of those used cars that are like approved from the actual dealer, like Toyota certified, right? And then, maybe you can get a 2017 used car and that only costs you maybe $10,000. Okay, great. So how can I save up that $10,000? Okay, every month I'm going to pick up 2 bonus shifts. Okay, that's going to take me 5 or 6 months to get that $10,000. Okay, so by April of 2024, I can have a new car, right? So you're opening channels in your brain about how you can do stuff versus saying, I can't do that. Because then your brain says, oh, sure, oh, fine. I don't have to worry about it.
Right. Yeah, that's literally exactly what I'm doing with like this car situation now. Like it's like breaking down all the numbers and everything. And it's like looking at everything and again, like I think like the 2 main things that you kind of want to come across with like your podcast and everything I think the probably most 2 important things in nursing is like the financial stability and like how many things you can do and all that stuff and like the bonus and the extra little money that you can make here and there. And then also like the mental health aspect of it, you know, like a lot of like I hear this a lot from like my boyfriend and like my family is like, if I share like a little bit of what happened during a shift, they're like, I don't know how you do it. I could never do that. And it's like, and I feel like a lot of times like we take that for granted. Like we do go through like some crazy stuff for the 12 hours that we're there. And it's like, and not everybody could do it. And, you know, and like, and another thing I think that we can do that I don't do and I want to do more is like the hospital, like, you know, like at Penn, there's a ton of resources
there are
that I don't use, that I don't know about. I just know that they exist.
Right.
And I think that like looking into that and taking the time, you know, to take advantage of that. And like, there's a reason why we have so many resources. There's a reason, you know, like, and I think that can be super helpful too. But again, I feel like it's not really talked about, like with the onboarding stuff, like it's mentioned very briefly. And then you kind of like, just like show up for your 12 hours and you're like, how fast can I get out of here? And you know, it's like but it's the reality. It's like, it's a reality of your job. There's a reason why you have these things, and like, we should use it. We should take advantage of it, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And specifically, like one of the things that I noticed in that, I, again, didn't use either. I think I only used it after I had my son, is I think we get like 6 sessions with a therapist to talk to your therapist about whatever you're dealing with, like anything in your life. It doesn't even have to be related to the job. And Penn doesn't, you know, it's just an institution in Philadelphia that we work for. They have no association with us, good or bad, but they do provide great benefits and resources. And so it's just for us to kind of like take advantage of it. But as you're saying, they have it up on the newsletter and then on the website, but no one really, you know, unless someone makes mention of it to you, like we're conversing right now, very few people actually go and do it.
Yeah. And like, and it's easier said than done. Obviously, it's like, you know, easier said than done. But again, it's like, sometimes when you like, you got to do what you got to do. Like, if you need the help, you like, it's there. You just have to like, sure, you don't feel like picking up, like opening up your laptop when you're on your day off and looking into things that are related to work. But like, sometimes that's what it takes. Sometimes that's what it needs for you to kind of like get over the hump, or like, you know, like, and it's so, I feel like, again, it's like with this job, it's so important to find different ways, or like find ways to stay sane.
Absolutely.
And, you know, but yeah, there's a lot that we can do. And I think it, like, it gives me so much hope that like there are people like you that are doing this, because like it's like, I like every chance I get to talk to like someone who's graduating from nursing school or someone who's starting, like every chance I get, there's so much I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really go out of my way to do it. But it's like, I'm glad that there are people like you that are doing it because we
Oh,
need
thank
it.
you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you were so excited. And I'm so excited to have you on here. You were like readily available to just be adding value to the nursing community and just to us as women and everything like that. So I'm just very grateful for you accepting to come on here. Thank you so
Well, the
much.
feeling is mutual.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's see. So you said you experienced a little bit of burnout as well, and then you just had to start taking care of yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And it makes a world of a difference. It really does. It's like, it honestly, like I've like, no, like caught myself like literally putting on makeup for no reason, like literally just
Yeah.
little things that
Yeah.
like going for a walk by myself, which it sounds super silly because that's something a lot of people do, but like I'm not one of those people. Like I don't like go out to eat by myself. I don't go to get coffee by myself. But like
Yeah.
it's crazy how much of a difference it makes, like for you to do things on your day off and not just
Mm-hmm.
let nursing like take over your world and like your everyday life.
Right.
Like it's so important to like keep it separate too. Like, but it can be very, especially in the beginning, I feel like it can be so hard because like all you think about is your job
Right.
and like you know but yeah,
And just
that's
reach out for support. Not everyone may, have access to me or know about my podcast or whatever like that. But there are people on your floor. Like I tell people all the time, if they can't afford my membership, you can go ahead and find a nurse on your floor that you like how they care of themselves. You like how they do their patient care. You like how you want to learn from them. Make friendship with them. Provide
yeah,
value to them if they need help and those kinds of things, and just be upfront and say, hey, I like the way you do this. I see that you've been a nurse for 5 years. I like how you do this. Can I just talk to you, and would you mind mentoring me for a little bit, sharing with me some key tips that you have found out? Like, talk to people and they're willing to mentor you.
yeah,
And if they're
yeah,
not, you'll find someone else. Like if you see someone in leadership and you're like, oh, what does it feel like to be an assistant manager? I'd like to do something like that. Just talk
yeah,
to them and see if they'd want to mentor you. There are people along the way who will help you. Like I found most people to be helpful and genuine, but there are rotten eggs out there. Like just be aware.
yeah,
But
for sure. Yeah, but I think like from my experience, like you're right, like there's definitely are people that you know
and
but
them, just stay away.
yeah, and like, but I feel like the majority, like in nursing, I feel like and I can tell my boyfriend this all the time. It's like the connection that you make with these people is just a different type of
Yeah.
connection. Like you're seeing people die in front of you together. You're seeing like people like get cured from like different things like together. It's like you're seeing like so many things that like normally you wouldn't see. So it's a different type
Yeah.
of like connection that you make with them.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like for the most part, nurses are so quick to help and like so like like willing to help. But I think confidence is a big thing when it comes to that. Like
Yeah.
going up to someone who's been a nurse for like 10 years longer than you have, it's so intimidating. It's so
Mm-hmm.
intimidating asking for help. It's
Right.
so like it's like something that like again I think it for me at least it just kind of it comes with practice. You just have to do it. You're gonna have to be uncomfortable for a little bit, and then you're gonna get to a point where you're just like, I feel I'm okay with this. Like
Yeah.
I don't feel dumb asking like, asking a question. Like I don't feel like it's like, but again, I feel like it comes with time.
Yeah.
Um and it's also like it can be like I've also, seen like people that kind of walk around with like a little too much confidence when
Girl.
in reality you don't
You
have
don't.
you shouldn't, at least you shouldn't, you know um
Right,
but I feel
right.
like there's like there has to be a happy medium, because I will
Right.
say, like I will admit, I was on the other end of the spectrum where I had a zero confidence and I kind of let that take over for too long.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like it's again like I feel like there are things that kind of kind of made that happen, like the inconsistency with the preceptors, like
Yeah.
things like that. But But I think for the most part, like just nursing in general, like we go through such unique things together that it kind of like gives us a different type of connection that you don't really get with anybody else, and you don't really get with like another job, like that's like
So
not in
true.
like a
I
desk
get
job,
it.
like
And that's what people say all the like I've heard so many people say it from different floors. They're like, I don't really they may not necessarily like the job, but they love their coworkers.
yeah,
You know what I
that's
mean? And
yeah,
that's a
that's like
sentiment that I hear often.
yeah, and like that's the thing, that's I'm not gonna lie, that's the reason why I haven't left
Yeah.
my job. It's because
Yeah.
I love it's like I love the people, and like people say like yeah, and you're gonna, if you find another job you're gonna meet other people and you're gonna love them too, but it's a different type of connection.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Awesome. We're having such a great time, Amanda. So what are some things that you do for fun outside of nursing? Like on a nice summer weekend, what do you do for fun?
This sounds kind of, I love to go to the gym. I love to work out. Like
That's
that's something that like
awesome.
I've
I want to
I've
be like
done.
that.
Oh,
I'm going to take on that sentiment. I told my husband, I was like, yeah, we're going to have to start working out, girl.
it's like it's something that like it's my one little thing that like I can kind of go put my headphones in and like forget about the world for like an hour. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's like working out, which is something that like most people don't truly like enjoy, but it's what works for me.
That's
Honestly,
awesome.
I've also I've never been a good sleeper. Like I struggle with sleeping. Like I don't sleep well. This is like way before nursing and night shift. It got worse with
Mm-hmm.
um nursing since I started, especially with the night shift. Like the different schedule is can be really hard on your body and your sleep schedule,
Yeah.
obviously. But something that I've noticed that works for me is reading, which I've never been a
Mm,
reader. I've never
yeah.
picked up a book in my life, but I was so desperate at a point that like I would sit on YouTube and like I literally would Google like or like try to look up videos on balancing like the night shift schedule as like a
Mm-hmm.
nurse. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I came across was reading, like reading before bed on your days off, like things like that. And I started doing it. I finished my first book ever not too long ago, and I'm on my second one
Yay!
now. I
That's
know it
awesome.
sounds so silly, but it's true, and it's like
No, it's
um
true.
yeah, so like going to the gym is something that I try to do a lot, and it I don't go nearly as much as I did before nursing because obviously like the schedule like kind of gets to you, but kind of just like forcing yourself to do it,
I know.
and just making it work with your schedule, and like spending time with friends, and again, like I feel like it's so easy to get lazy and not do anything on your days off
Hmm.
because you're so
Yeah.
tired and all you want to do is lay on the couch and watch TV.
Right.
um but doing these things makes such a difference, like getting just literally just even just like going outside on your day
Hmm.
off. And I remember like they would say this in nursing school so much, especially because it was during COVID and we were online for a lot of it. The
Yeah.
professors, they would be like, just go for a walk. And I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna go. It's hard, but
Right.
it really does. It makes a huge difference. Like you go to work with like your mind is more clear.
It's
You don't
true.
show up in a bad mood.
Right.
Like it really does make a difference. But it also takes a lot of energy and it takes a lot of
Hmm.
commitment. Um, but it's worth it. It's so worth it.
Yeah. It's the
Yeah,
commitment part. It's the
yeah.
commitment part that is the that I'm working on staying committed to, like the gym part for myself, if I'm being
Hmm.
honest. It's the
Yeah.
commitment part. So
I
thank
know
you
it
for
takes
inspiring
like a
me
lot of
to do
discipline.
that.
Yeah, yeah, of
Yeah, it
course.
does. It really does.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're going into work tonight. What music are you listening to? Like, what's the song that you have playing?
Oh my God. This is I Taylor Swift. It's all I
Oh,
listen to. I know. It's like
what's your
I am
favorite song?
I am a Swiftie. My
Ah,
favorite song of all time by Taylor Swift. Oh my gosh, I don't know. But if I'm going to work, I like try to listen to like the ones that are like more upbeat. Like I try to get things
right.
to kind of like get me pumped up. And something that I do,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a must for my shift. Like I just have to do this. Is I walk in listening to music with my headphones. Like I listen to music on the way there, and then when I get there, I turn the car off and I put my headphones in, and I walk into the unit, I walk through the hospital listening to music. And it's like my little thing, like my one little thing that I do that has been working. And,
Awesome.
yeah,
I
yeah,
love
like
that.
anything Taylor Swift.
That is like your self-care. Like, don't interrupt me with this. This is my time with myself,
Yeah.
getting myself together.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
like I don't know if I've ever told you this, but like I'm like notorious for getting there early. I clock in by 6:30 every single time. And the reason is because
Wow.
I put my headphones in, I sit in front of the computer, I look at my patients all while listening to music. Like it's almost like I'm there, but like I'm not really there yet.
Right.
And then once I take my headphones on, I put it in my bag, I'm like, okay,
I'm ready.
yeah, I'm ready now.
I love that. I love that. That is an awesome, awesome tip. And what do you listen to when you're leaving? Say it's like Friday morning, you're not back to like Tuesday of the next week. Like, what are you listening to? What are you jamming to?
Literally Taylor Swift. I hate to say this. I wish I could give you a different answer.
Oh
I
my
really wish I
goodness.
could. There's a playlist on Spotify that is called Taylor Swift Complete Collection, and it's every song that she's ever recorded is on there. And it's like you have like over 24 hours of like music. So it's just shuffle. And it's what works for me.
Oh, I love it. Don't apologize for it. It's work for you. So actually, to that note, with a lot of the research that I do, there's a company called, I don't know, it's a company, it's probably an organization called bold.org. I'll put it in the description, but BOLD.org. And they give out scholarships like to high school students, undergrads, grads. I say that to say, I think it was like $1,000 scholarship. They're like, I think it's like Taylor Swift 1989. I don't know. She has an album called
It's my favorite
1989.
album.
There's a scholarship for that. It literally says, write your favorite Taylor Swift song.
Oh, are you kidding? Oh.
Write about like your favorite Taylor Swift. You would totally get it hands down.
I could literally write a book. It's like almost a little unhealthy, but
that's awesome. I love it. I love it. Love it. Love it. All right. And if you had one tip to your, to the version of yourself that you were when you started nursing, we know you're more expensive now. Have more wealth of knowledge, more confidence, all that stuff. What would you say to her? You just come off orientation. What would you say to that version of yourself?
I would say just know that you're not alone and you're not the only person feeling this way. Cause that was something that like, I was like, it must be me. Nursing is just not for me. Like I must just be an idiot and like, it just must be me. And it's not. If you just take 2 seconds to talk to anybody, you're not alone. So that was something that was a huge thing for me. Like the feeling of like, it has like, I must be the problem. And also that it gets better.
Yeah.
It gets better. And it's like with any job, you're going to feel uncomfortable. It's like with anything. If you pick up a new sport, if you start a new relationship, if you like join a new gym, like everything in the beginning is a little uncomfortable. Sure, nursing can be very uncomfortable in the beginning, but it gets better, and you just have to give yourself enough credit because what you're doing is not easy, but you're doing it. And give yourself enough credit. Do it with grace. Be gentle with yourself.
Yes.
And it gets better. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That's a beautiful way to end such an extraordinary conversation that we have. I just see this being such an inspiration to so many, new to practice nurses and even seasoned nurses coming in, nursing students, people who are thinking about it. You've been so gracious with your time. You've been honest and transparent. And I even have, a client I'm working with, and I can see how this can be so beneficial to her because she, just like that version of yourself, she just had, not necessarily the best preceptorship. She's struggling regarding her orientation process and how she's feeling in the role. And I just see like thousands and thousands of that version of nurses out there, and that this is going to be so helpful to them. And I'm just very gracious to you for coming on and talking with us. And I'm grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for literally for like doing this with your time and
thank you.
And like just and again like just helping because it makes such a big difference, and I wish more people did it. But this is a start, and it's so amazing, and it's so awesome that you're doing this. Seriously.
Thanks, Amanda.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. This was so fun.
This was so fun. And we can't wait. You're an alumni now for my Pocket Preceptor. So whenever you have any other things you'd love to share with our community, we'd love to have you back. You're always welcome.
Oh, thank you. I'd love to come back. Yeah.
I hope you have a great rest of the day. Thanks,
You
Amanda.
too. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. That was so awesome.